16 races down, 1 to go. It's the final race in Season 9, and tonight we will crown a champion here in Homestead. Good evening, everyone. I'm Hunter Brittle, alongside my good friend Elliot Henderson for the final time this season, ready to bring you all the action live on Split Second Broadcasting. Elliot, it's been a long 17-race season. What can we expect here deep in the Sunshine State as we set to go for 200 miles for the final time?
Hopefully nothing different than what we've been seeing all season. Homestead usually gives us the most intense racing, I'd figure, next to Atlanta. But with inside-outside lanes working here, we should be able to see these guys use multiple lanes and have some different ways of making their way around this track. Not really sure how the pit strategy is going to play out. We'll have to sit and watch that. But I think right now everyone's excited to just get going, and we'll have to see how quickly some of these guys start to migrate up and wrap that wall on the outside lane.
Absolutely, definitely one of the tracks that can provide one of the best shows on iRacing here, especially in this series. This is a beloved track by everybody in the Great Lakes Truck Series, and you're gonna see that all night long here. But the big story tonight is Nathan Jump. When he takes the green flag, we did not have over 40 trucks to enter into tonight's event. He holds a 39-point gap back to Zach Henry. When he takes the green flag, he will have secured his first Great Lakes Truck Series championship. Elliot, what's going as a previous champion? What's going through your mind in a situation like this where you just get to go out and have fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in a similar situation where it's all said and done before you even get to the final race, and you just go into this, and as he's been saying all season, he's trophy hunting. The championship is just a byproduct of that. You win enough races, you're going to eventually find yourself either contending or winning the championship, and he's done just that. I don't even know if he's won the last few in a row, but he's won, 3 of the last 5 or something like that we've been throughout this chase. So for him tonight, yeah, it's just trophy hunting again. He's obviously starting P2 right there with Tony Monge, newcomer tonight on the pole. So we'll have to see how he's going to work his way through this race. But he's been unstoppable recently, and I don't really see anything changing, especially now that he has nothing to really worry about.
Definitely everything turning up Nathan Jump this season. Like you said, a record-breaking season for him. Most wins in a single season, in a single GLTS season, that is, and he will wrap up the championship here tonight. Like you said, though, shifting more towards tonight's events, we have a newcomer making his first GLTS start, and he has taken the pole. Tony Monge sitting there on pole position in the 92 with a exact 1,000th of a second pole time faster than second place sitter Nathan Jump on this one. So Tony Monge coming into the league in a big way, looking to make some noise here. And sitting right behind him as well, Adolfo Delgado. We've seen Adolfo, we've seen flashes of brilliance out of Adolfo. He hasn't been a series regular per se, but put himself up in a solid third place qualifying effort. I can't wait to see what he can do during the race once we get going green.
Yeah, I think he qualified 3rd or 4th, maybe 5th over at Texas last week, and unfortunately was taken out pretty early, scrubbed the wall, and came across, I believe it was Eric Kep's nose, and put himself in the inside wall. Unfortunate circumstances to ruin his race, but obviously another qualifying effort right up at the front for him. So not sure what he's done for qualifying, just needs to make sure that he can carry that all the way through the race. And you mentioned Tony Monge really quick. Interested to see what he does tonight. Haven't seen his name in GLTS competition, so interested to see how he rides with these boys. And obviously, because Jump doesn't have anything to really work for tonight, he can race them as hard as he wants without any repercussions. Just a couple of other guys to note. Jared Darling going to roll off 7th, obviously battling Spencer Owens, our resident non-qualifier, rolling off 22nd tonight. Those guys 1 point apart. Spencer Owens sitting 3rd in points, 1 point ahead of Jared Darling, and have to see how those guys end their race tonight and see who comes away with that podium spot on the standings. And then how about Will Barber-Gelada starting 8th tonight?
Definitely great to see Will back in regular Great Lakes competition. Always one to put on a show for us, earning that back in the day when he was racing regularly. He earned the nickname Mr. Excitement, and boy howdy would he. You saw here on Split Second Broadcasting last night here in the URA race, he was putting on a show, going sideways multiple times in that one. So look for Will Barb to move closer towards the front here as we get set to go green here in Homestead. The green flag is out. Tony Monge is away, but he's got Nathan Jump right on his outside. They're going to drag race to the line, and they're going to be side by side going down into one.
Adolfo Delgado did not get a launch. Zach Henry already looking to put him 3 wide with Chris Heller on the outside. Zach hungry. He knows he doesn't really have much to race for tonight. He's here for the win.
Absolutely. Zach Henry trying to make a statement here tonight as he briefly holds on to that third place spot. But here comes Adolfo Delgado on the outside. 2511 teammate Chris Heller got shuffled out, and that he'll go back to the 5th position. Adolfo Delgado up high early on, rim riding here in Homestead. We see that line popular in the real life NASCAR series. Elliot, how well does that translate here in the virtual world?
Well, we're gonna have to see how the session plays out. Sometimes with the weather setting and the day to night transition, nighttime will come pretty quickly. We didn't mention it, but this is a relatively longer race for us, nearly 200 miles, 134 laps tonight. So you're just gonna have to see as it gets darker if that outside line is gonna prevail. It usually lends itself to work better as the sun goes down, and you can see some guys already starting to migrate up there at the beginning. But it's just going to come down to people, personal preference and how this track responds as the sun starts to set and the nighttime sky starts to appear.
Well, for right now, the sun is out, and Tony Monge is taking a commanding lead in this race. He's already opened it up to just about 1 second over your now champion, Nathan Jump here, who is going to have to start to fight off the 2511 teammates of Zach Henry and Christopher Heller there if he can dispatch of Adolfo Delgado, who's sitting on the inside, and he will. So everybody single files out for the first 10 or so spots. But Tony Monge showing his guns early as he streaks off into the distance.
Well, I can tell you these guys back here are saving some tire. Adolfo Delgado is consistently driving in the corner really hard, getting right to the back of Chris Heller. It's kind of stacking up Jared Darling and Shane Nicelonger back there. But with how Adolfo's driving and how Heller's driving, it's obvious that these guys up around 3rd, 4th, 5th, well, maybe not Adolfo, but 3rd and 4th right in front of them are definitely saving some tire here. So right now, you got to wonder if Monge is maybe just driving the wheels off of it. Maybe he might be expecting a caution or something to kind of reset them after a bit, and he's just trying to build a lead right now. But a lot of these guys know that these things that they go green for a while, especially how we've been running this season. So we'll have to see how this all works out for Monge so far.
Not only this season, but just Homestead in general in the Great Lakes Truck Series. This tends to be one of our cleaner races here as in recent memory. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've had maybe a maximum of 3 cautions over a 200 lap event. That's why we can have this longer crown jewel distance race here in Homestead, is that these guys have the confidence and the skill to not make this race go all the way to midnight under caution here. So this race definitely gonna have a lot of action in it, and I think your ones to watch is Adolfo Delgado gets way loose off of turn 4. He had to catch it, and he did, and he will lose about 2 spots to the Dark Horse teammates of Shane Nicelonger and Matt Durr, falling back to the 8th position there. 3 guys to watch are the guys going to be sitting there in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th position. Nathan Jump, Zach Henry, Elliot. I think both of us can speak to their skill at this particular track. We've both had very good battles with them over the years in this particular venue. And then Chris Heller right behind him. This is Chris's first full season back with us after a while, but I can remember vividly him always having speed at this track here. So look for those 3 to continue their solid runs here and maybe start to reel back in Tony Monge as we get later in this event.
Yeah, you also don't have to look too far back. Matt Durr has been making that top side work right behind Shane Nicelonger. If Shane gives it to him off the corner, he might go to the front here, because Durr he started all the way back there with Sensi and Nick Caressel, and you can see where those guys are compared to where Matt Durr is now. But he is the only one consistently wrapping the top of the track, and we'll have to see what that does to his tires. But right now, he's the only one really marching forward. Everyone else kind of sitting in line. You can see the run that he gets going into the corner. He's going to stay to the outside of Shane Nicelonger, and he might get him on the top here. Shane's going to give him the space, and just watch the run that 44 truck gets down the front stretch, pulling some draft from the 1 truck of Jared Darling. He's going to be dead even with him going into turn 1.
That's 2 teammates playing very nice early on in this run. Both the 49 and the 44 sitting there in the Dark Horse stable, as they're going to go side by side again once again down the back straightaway. But there goes that run, like you were talking about, from Matt Durr. And with Matt being the first one to jump up into that high line, basically the way I liken it is that you get into that high line, and it takes a little bit to develop that muscle memory to run that line smoothly and as efficiently as possible. And the earlier that you get up there, the more time you have to establish that muscle memory. And Matt Durr is doing that just right now. And I think that he's going to be one of your top line rippers all night long. We'll have to see how that affects his car, but certainly the ability is there, at least early on.
Little battle back here between Barbara Gelato, Adolfo Delgado, Nick Carreso, Michael Sensi, Lewis Woodall, all right there. Very fun battle going on. I saw Barb laying some blocks down right in front of Adolfo Delgado, and now they're all just kind of on top of each other. Adolfo obviously starting to sink back after his third place starting spot. I'm not sure if maybe he overdrove the tires at the beginning or what, but he's starting to struggle a little bit, and now he's kind of found a comfortable place right behind Barb Gelato, but Barb does not want to give up that spot to him too easily.
Adolfo Delgado proving once again of the old GLTS adage that hot lapping ain't nothing here, as he slips back into the bottom half of the top 10, doing battle side by side with Will Barber-Gelato here. 5 cars, look at that, underneath a blanket right here, and that side by side action is what's keeping everybody all nice and tucked up with each other. The draft is bigger down the front straightaway, and the 2 cars that are side by side can't get the appropriate runs off of the corner, so it just drags those guys up behind you and slows the 2 cars doing battle down and drags them back to it. So it really just ends up being a little kerfuffle there, as they're going to go 3 wide here. Adolfo on the high side, Michael Sensi in the middle in that black 37 truck, and Nick Carreso making some noise down low, and he's going to tuck back in line. They're going to be 2 wide coming down the front stretch.
Nearly some contact there between Sensi and Adolfo Delgado. That got really tight. Sensi looks like he's potentially got the speed to get around all of them. He sends it in there right under Adolfo. They almost make a little bit of more contact, but all's clean so far. How about Spencer Owens back here making his way up? Again, started back in about that 22nd spot, already up inside the top 15, running 14th at the moment.
I'm convinced that he's just doing last to first challenges at this point. The amount of times that he's done it all season, that or he just maybe he can't read qualify, and he just sits there and waits for the grid. But Spencer putting on a passing clinic here early on, as he's already worked his way halfway up through the grid here in Homestead.
Yeah, I mean, SimRacer Hub did add passing stats at some point, I believe middle of last year, middle of this year. So it seems that he may just be trying to add those stats there, get these quality passes, these clean passes in, and he's doing it on a weekly basis. So right now, moving up the field, looking at Mike McConville, who just got really loose off of 4, still struggling with it off of 4. Didn't really expect that from these trucks tonight, but they may have to deal with some rear tires going away as well. So it's another free one there as he continues his march forward.
Yeah, Mike McConville sideways off of 4, and really that's going to be your trouble spots, Elliot. Is the exit of turns 2 and the exit of turn 4, right where that truck unloads. That's really where the rear end likes to swing around and break loose, and you're going to see a lot of drivers swinging down to the bottom. We've already seen Adolfo Delgado have problems with that, and you just saw Mike McConville there with the same thing. There are going to be a lot of drivers running all the way down to the wall to try and catch this thing, and that's the benefit of this track, is how wide the straightaways are. You have all that room to go and catch it, as opposed to a Dover that's really only 3 lanes wide, and there's a wall right there that you don't have the opportunity to catch it, and you're slamming into the inside wall. You've got a lot of room to make up for your mistakes here, as we've got side-by-side action here for this 9th spot, as we've got Lewis Woodall and Adolfo Delgado doing battle coming off of turn 4.
These 4 are all still right on top of each other. Sensi may have also caught the rear end of Carreso going into that corner. Carreso going to go 3 wide here as Adolfo got the wall a little bit, gave Louis a bit of a run, and gave Carreso a shot off of 4 towards him. And it's not really going to work out with him too much, as Adolfo comes down across and actually makes a little bit of contact there with Carreso. Adolfo really struggling at the rear of that truck right now. And we saw Sensi get a little bit loose earlier, but I thought for a second these 4 are starting to catch Shane and Will Barb up there, but it looks like they're all just kind of suffering on their own for tires, trying to get up to those guys. As I believe, is that Jackson Sims jumping into the mix now with, yep, that's Jackson Sims trying to look under Michael Sensi going into turn 1 here.
It's still 5 cars, make it 6 here as soon as Spencer Owens gets into the fray underneath a blanket here. And we talked about how Matt Durr was ripping the wall so well early on. Adolfo Delgado is holding, I mean, about as perfect as you can up there on that high side, and he gets the run. Lewis Woodall throws the block this time, slams the door. He will not get by this time, but Adolfo right back to the top side here, and he is putting that number 8 truck right up against the wall. So he is running that top side line about as perfect as you can. We'll have to see if he can continue to hold that, as there's contact there, and the 8 and the 6 slam together. Everybody manages to gather it back up, but Jackson Sims almost went for a wild ride down there on the front straightaway.
Yeah, Sims is driven up to this group, but that almost ruined his night right there. As you see, Caressel get loose now. Sims getting loose. Sensi trying to get off the corner. It looks like that middle of the track doesn't really work as these tires start to wear out. So that's probably where we'll see them start to migrate up as they run through the rear tires. It helps to run the top to just kind of be able to get around the corner without really getting as loose as they are down on the bottom. As McConville and Eric Kepf are going at it right behind these guys, but there's battles all over the place right around the top 10 here.
Yeah, speaking of battles, we're about to have one in a manner of laps. Nathan Jump and Zach Henry have been chipping away into Tony Monge's lead about a tenth at a time, a tenth a lap at a time in this as we've started to get into the middle part of this run here. So I believe our earlier suspicions have been confirmed. Tony might have ran those tires a little bit earlier. A little bit hard early on, or he's just managing the gap. But the 25 and the 12 are coming based on the timing and scoring.
Yeah, they're getting there little by little. You just got to wonder if they'll be able to catch him by the end of the run. Again, we don't quite know how far fuel is. Not sure if you may have discussed that with a few drivers beforehand, Brittle, and you had some of that information. But looking forward to what these guys can do towards the end of the run and how this pit strategy is going to play out as soon as it all starts happening. I'm sure we'll see a couple guys short pit versus a long run here. And right now it looks like with where Monge is, I'm assuming he's probably going to try to go as far as possible. But if he's going to run through his tires, he might have to opt for that short pit strategy that we've seen work out and at different points throughout the season. Yeah,
I neglected to go and get fuel numbers from anybody. I was looking back in our chat to see if I could find any, but I did not. So we're all going to experience the shock and awe of when these guys start to hit pit road here in Homestead. But meanwhile, we've got battles all over the place, and it still continues to be right around this 9th, 10th, 11th, right around the edge, the fringe of the top 10. You've got 7 cars here trying to do battle all the way from Lewis Woodall all the way back to Eric Kepf and Mike McConville back there in the 15th and 16th spots. So these guys all starting to accordion back together here as the run starts to get into the waning parts of it, and those tires start to go away here. So lots of action happening here, and you can see all these guys who have started to drift up to that high side as Adolfo Delgado gets a massive run back on the 13 of Shane Nice, or rather Louis Woodall. He's going to look to the inside there. They're going to be side by side going into 3. So tires starting to wear, Elliott, and it's going to be a factor all night long as long as we keep it green.
Well, I was about to say we need to go back up to Shane Nicewanger. He has made some marches here. He's driven past Jared Darling, Matt Durr. He's looking to the inside, clearing Chris Heller here in the middle of 1 and 2. He's the guy on the march late in this run. I'm not sure what lap times look like compared to the leaders up there, but he has silently moved his way around all of these guys and gone from the back half of the top 10 straight up into a top 5 position. So kudos to him. He's the one making the bottom work the best, it looks like, because honestly, before it looked like he was going to fall to the clutches of Barb and then everybody back there in that scramble for about the 9th, 10th positions. But he has driven away from them, driven around these 3 trucks, and is starting to move on and look towards Zach Henry and Nathan Jump.
Very much a bottom dweller, Shane Nicewanger is, and that'll prove helpful here as he gets into the later part of this run, because if you can run that bottom lane, you're going to save the tires a lot better than you will up on the top side. As Lewis Woodall gets a little loose, manages to gather back up on the inside of Adolfo Delgado, as Jackson Sims has now entered the fray, and he has passed all of these guys, making his way up into the 9th position here. So this whole group is just something else to watch here. Every time I look, somebody has changed position or they're going back at it side by side. This is going to be the group to watch all night long.
I was going to say from 10th to 17th, check that, from about 9th to 17th is maybe a 1.5-second difference. They are all right there with each other. So we'll stay tuned to this while everyone else sorts their stuff out. Shane's driven away from that trio that he had gone around. He's about a 10th quicker than the leaders every couple laps here. So we'll have to see if he can continue to track them down. He's about a 2nd behind Zach Henry, and Zach's sitting about a 1/2 second behind Nathan Jump. So trying to make that march up for Shane Nicewanger. But right now that battle's going on for about 10th on back, and it has been very interesting to watch.
That last time by, Shane Nicewanger was 2/10 and the time before that 0.3 faster than third place Zach Henry, who's known for saving his tires, especially at Homestead of all places. So Shane Neiswanger is going to have some muscle to flex later on in this event as we continue to look farther back at this gaggle. There's no other word to say for it, as Nick Caressel has moved into the 10th position here. He has passed the 13 of Lewis Woodall. As we look back, Adolfo Delgado is starting to fade here, and here comes Robin Durr. Was that sideways? Was that Jackson Sims there? As Spencer Owens has to gather it back up down the front straightaway. Action all over the place here in this one as they fire off into turn one.
Yeah, and that's just a big momentum loss when you get that loose. We saw it happen to McConville earlier. We've seen it happen to Delgado, Spencer Owens now. McConville's jumped back pretty well. He's moved all the way back up ahead of Louis Woodall. As I believe we've got some pitters here on lap 28, so I'll have to do some math on our next break and see how that's going to work out for them. But yeah, this whole group right here has just, they've all pulled themselves in together, and you've got Eric Kemp with Gavin Fitzgerald, Brent Kingcott, and others starting to catch these guys too.
Pit stops have started, and it starts with two brothers, Michael Senzi and Evan Snyder, bringing it down pit road. They will be the first to come down pit road, get their service this time. So, Elliot, does at a track like this, does somebody coming down pit road, does that spark a land rush to get down pit road and come get new tires, or can you run this one out on the olds?
Well, it's going to depend. Basically, it depends how far these guys can go. Right now, it looks like they're at about a 3 or 4 stopper here, being that it's 134 laps. They might be a little bit short on that fourth stop. So, yeah, we'll have to see how far all these guys go. I think that's a little bit early to be trying to pit, but these guys know what they can do and know the extent of their fuel economy. So, we'll just have to see how that works out right now.
Pit stops have started. Those two guys, it appears to be they're going to be the only takers this time around, as everyone else elects to stay on the racetrack here. And we started to single file back out around here as you look now and see Will Barbagelata taking the fight to the 44 of Matt Durr. Barb started back in the 8th position, Matt back up in the 10th. So these guys, Matt had some speed early on as he was contending with the 49 of Shane Neiswanger, who we well documented has crept away, and he's almost caught the 12 of Zach Henry. But these guys back here, the battles, like I said, it feels like the field just kind of accordions back together when we get back in these things. And as it appears, Evan Snyder is back down pit road here. Is that a penalty, Elliot?
Might be. Wasn't looking to see if he was speeding. I was trying to figure out fuel mileage. He's not pitted.
I apologize.
He's fine.
That's
it's
Tony
Adolfo
Monge.
Delgado.
That's a Tony Monge. Your leader has pit from the lead. The 92 and the 93 got me mixed up. I apologize for that one. So your leader, Tony Monge, has hit pit road this time, and Nathan Jump this time around will follow him down. So that relinquishes the lead.
It looks like pretty much everybody's hitting pit road here, so I don't think that they'll be able to do it on a 3-stopper.
I imagine not, as the 12 and the 49 hit pit road this time. We are going to go to a quick break here, and we will bring it back and catch you up on all the action as pit stops are underway here in Homestead.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. and she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you, and we'll figure it out."
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I'm an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Okay. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Welcome back to the Homestead-Miami Speedway and the season finale of Season 9 of GLTS, where series newcomer Tony Monge continues to show the way here after pit stops have all but cycled out. But Elliot, while we were away on that break, we discovered that there may be some strategy at play.
Yeah, we did the math, and it's looking like McConville and guess who? Ross Brockman. No surprise there. Both of these guys are on the alternate strategy of trying to do a three-stopper. Everybody else, it's going to be tight. A lot of the guys that pit on 33, like Zach Henry and Chris Heller, could potentially stretch this and make it work. But anybody that pit on 32 is going to have a really difficult time to try to make this all the way through. They're going to have to basically run pretty long on the other runs to make it to the end here. But if you pit on 34, which is what McConville and Brockman did, you can ultimately, if you continue to do that, make it and be 2 laps to the good by the end of it with just 3 stops. Meanwhile, everybody else, basically Sensi and Evan Snyder, the guys that pitted early on 28, are going to come back down on 56, 84, and then 112, and then have a little 20-lap run at the end there. So basically the difference between a 3-stop and a 4-stop. And, this all assumes it goes green. But we've seen this before, and we've seen it work out for McConville pretty good at Indy, so we'll have to see how this race goes tonight.
No, not much of a surprise there to see Ross Brockman and Mike McConville running some alternate strategy there, two of our more well-known long stinters, if you will, in the Great Lakes Truck Series. But you talked about the difference between running long and running short. How about the difference between 1 lap, as Tony Monge has now increased his lead over Nathan Jump? It was about 2.5 seconds prior to pit stops. It's now 3.9.
Yeah, it's only increasing too. So I just wonder if these guys don't really have the short run pace that Monge has, and he can carry that all the way to the end of the run as well. I wonder if they're maybe doing a little bit of oversaving, compensating for tires here. But he seems to have everybody's number tonight and is doing a pretty good job out front. It's all just going to come down to that fuel strategy, because we're always going to have to keep an eye on the 81 and that 52 back there, because they may be able to jump these guys.
Definitely Tony Monge flexing his muscles early on in this one as he leads all 42 laps that have been run in this event. Nathan Jump running second, Zach Henry third, and then it's back to the 49 of Shane Neiswanger in fourth. And then you've got another gaggle there back behind him. You got Chris Heller in the 11, the 27 of Will Barber-Gelata. Jared Darling has been hanging tough in and around that 7th position all night long. And then back behind them, it's a duel between the 44 of Matt Durr and the 37 of Michael Sensi, who is on about 5 lap older tires.
Yeah, Sensi with the early pit there, and Matt Durr and Michael Sensi have had some fun little battles in the past. This one looks like it's going to be pretty much over as Matt Durr drives around him with those fresher tires. But Sensi with the undercut, him and Evan Snyder, both the early pit stops there.
A factor here, especially those rear tires here. You can really burn those up, and then the truck just starts to come around you on exit, as we talked about earlier on in the show. I'll tell you who's having a good night here is Robin Durr. Robin started back up in the way back in the 21st position, and he is running up in the 11th position, having a great night for him as he is running all by himself here. I believe he's just dispatched the 6 of Jackson Sims. So Robin Durr having a great night in that Dark Horse 10 truck.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he may have pit early and this is pit strategy working out, or if he just has the pace and some of these other guys may have, pitted pretty safe and he came in pretty hard. There's a lot of time to be gained on this pit stop entry. It's really difficult to get down to pit road here, especially with that wall right there. It's very reminiscent of Dover and how easy it is to just kind of slide the truck right into that wall and those barriers right there. So it's McConville right to the inside of Jackson Sims in the middle of turn one, but really solid run, right for him outside the top 10. Potential to gain some more here as well with Nick Caressa and Michael Sensi not too far up the road, and Sensi obviously on those older tires.
Boy, these two guys you've got on screen here, Brent Kinghot and Gavin Fitzgerald, they're side by side as Gavin starts to reclaim that spot up in the advantageous position there. Those two guys always put on a good show for us here. They'll be ones to watch, especially if they're running around each other as they have been for just about the entire race. But now we see the 81 of Mike McConville and Jackson Sims doing battle. Sims on the high side, Mike McConville with those newer tires and the longer pit strategy on the low side here, and he's starting to pick his way through these older tires. He's up to the 12th position, Elliot.
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting thing. Remember, he's the one running long, and he still has pace in that type of scenario. I mean, that's an unbeatable combination. So right now he's got everything going for him, and he's continuing to track these guys down and displace them. But up towards the front, Nathan Jump has taken about a half a second out of Tony Monge's lead. It's under 3.5 seconds, and you got to wonder if maybe something's going on with Monge, or maybe Jump has finally figured it out, and he said, I'm just going to start going, because he's driven away from Zach Henry, and Shane Neiswanger is kind of stuck on an island as well, but Jump has kind of turned up the wick here on this run to see if he can go catch Tony Monge.
You saw Jump there on his onboard. He was running. He would throw that truck down into the corner, and you can see it right here. He's going all the way to the white line, Elliot, whereas in years past, it seemed like the preferred line was about a lane up there in that up above that second seam. Is there much of a difference there? What about the speed difference just between those two lanes?
Well, yeah, I think they've done some renovations here, I'll say, in the iRacing service to Homestead, and some grip changes, and that bottom line seems to work pretty well now. I always liked the track when you had that little bit of a lane above, but it looks like these guys typically try to get all the way down to that white line. It works with it started working when the next gen cars came out, and now it seems to have transferred to pretty much any car, and especially the truck here. As you see a lot of guys going down there, they're either going to wrap the wall or they're going to run the white line, and a lot of these guys preferring that inside line to kind of preserve tires as well. But the gap has now kind of evened itself out, and Monge is now sitting at 3.2 seconds up on Jumper. Well, now we look at the ticker and it's 2.8, so it's kind of going back and forth. But right now, Jump is on the hunt, as across the line it is exactly at 3 seconds, so he gains two tenths out of him that time.
Jump doesn't want his night ruined. He wants the perfect sweep here if he can get it and claim the championship and the win in the same night here, as we look back at this battle for that 10th position between Robin Durr and a charging Mike McConville, as we look at a falling Jackson Sims. Jackson was up there battling with Matt Durr not too awful long ago for that 7th position, and now he's fallen back to the 12th position. So Jackson Sims, one who pit with everybody else, he's not particularly on an off strategy, so maybe he's saving, call it Uber saving, if you will, and going backwards in this one. So we might see a late run surge from that 6 truck as we get into the later part of this event.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple of guys that have probably taken note on what McConville's doing, and they might try to, alter their strategy based on that. When you see these guys start to realize that they can actually 3-stop it, and 3-stop it easy, if he can genuinely make 34, I mean, that's 2 laps to the good. That's a very good margin to hit. Usually these guys are trying to make it in they're trying to make it to lap 33 to where they're 2 laps short by the end and trying to long run one stint or something. But if Mike can genuinely do 34 every lap without a problem, then he's in a really good spot by the end of this one, and he has the pace to back it up. So for a guy like Sims, he might try to alter his strategy, slow down a little bit, see if he can kind of gain a little bit back here. You technically only need to run 2 stints at 34 laps and then 2 at 33, if that's the case, because we know how easy these guys can get to 33. So anybody can really be on that strategy. We'll just have to see how it all plays out. But for someone like Michael Sensi that pitted on 28, he's kind of put his bed in making a four-stop race here, and just going to kind of hope for a caution at the right point to give him the track position that he wants.
Yeah, and Michael Sensi slowly falling back. He was up in that 7th position fighting early on in this run. Now he slipped back to the 13th position as you look on at a battle between Matt Durr in the 44 and Jared Darling in the 1. Matt Durr been ripping that high side the entire race, and it has brought him up to the right side of Jared Darling this time. Is he going to have the speed to clear him off the bottom? Doesn't look like it this time. Jared still got that bottom side hooked up there, and he's able to stay alongside the 44. But Matt Durr is the one with the pace on the high side here, Elliot.
Tell you who else has pace, that his teammate up there, Shane Neiswanger, just knocking down laps here. He is within 5.5 seconds of your leader, and by the end of it may have a shot at this thing if he can just keep it all rolling forward. He's starting to take a look towards Zach Henry and potentially get that 3rd position away, but Nathan Jump and Shane Neiswanger both on the move trying to catch that 92 truck right now.
Absolutely. And Shane came to me earlier in the week, and he was asking how do we run this thing. We did a practice run in this, and he was having trouble burning the tires off. He would have such blistering pace early on, and then the tires right around lap 15, the tires would just fall off, and I was able to run him back down. And it's really all about, you have to have a light throttle foot, Elliot, as I'm sure you can definitely comment, as this is one of your better tracks, if there is one that you don't have that you're not particularly good at. But definitely all about having a light right foot here in this one, as Jared Darling is right up against that wall, got the tail hanging out here as he comes back down off onto the backstretch.
Yeah, I've always appreciated Homestead for that. It also gave the chance to run multiple lanes and everything. So there was multiple ways to run it. You could run the bottom and try to maintain your tires down there. You could just rip the top and also try to maintain the rears up there. So different ways to run it, and it led to some really exciting racing, but also led to different variations of the driver could adapt to throughout the race. But we are going to step away for a moment and come right back, as I believe we're going to be starting on pit stops as we come back.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
When I was growing up, my mom was extremely tidy. We were trained to put things back where we got them from. One day, when I walked into my mom's house, I felt like I walked to someone else's house. There was stuff everywhere. And just growing up the way I grew up, and to see this transition was very alarming.
When Sean talked to me, it was a wake-up call, and that's when I went to the doctor.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear, call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container, because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
See, Smokey thinks I'm funny.
Welcome back to the Homestead-Miami Speedway, where the sun is starting to set, and then the grip's starting to set in. And a couple of these drivers are headed to the front, Elliot. Jared Darling has found that top side as soon as Matt Durr caught him, and he has pulled away and moved himself into that 5th place position.
Yeah, I've also been watching Shane Neiswanger, who is the other fastest guy on track, and he is struggling on that bottom side. Maybe the nighttime is just not right for the 49 truck, but as you attested to, that one truck, Jared Darling, ripping the fence. Will Barbagelata right there behind him doing the same thing, right to the outside of Chris Heller here. Big run through the middle of 1 and 2, and that's usually where that top side works, is in 1 and 2. Is wow, you see Barbagelata run in the back of Chris Heller, and you see the truck move a little bit. Barb really wanted that lane there, and it definitely works in 1 and 2. It doesn't work as well in 3 and 4, but you can see him still try it up there as Jared Darling runs the bottom, and Mike McConville making himself ever clearer towards the front, moves up to 8th around Matt Durr.
He's up to the 8th position, and more importantly, he is right behind these guys who are contending for that top 5 spot there. Jared Darling has it currently as he dispatched of the 11 of Chris Heller. But yeah, that battle between Will Barb and Heller. Will Barb, no stranger to using the bumper here. He knows the limits of his truck, and boy, that was a close moment there last time off of 4. I hazard to say we won't see it again, because I'm sure we will here as Barb. Here comes Barb once again on the low side. He's got a little bit of a run, but he's not going to get back to the back bumper of Heller this time. But these 3 cars here are now underneath a blanket, and they're going to start dogfighting here for this 5th spot as we bear down on pit stops. Elliot, we should be about 2 laps away.
Yeah, I'm interested. Sensi obviously already made his stop. Adolfo Delgado looks like he's come down. But Evan Snyder just ran 34 laps, didn't pit with his brother there, and ran a full fuel load, it looked like, to make that work. And now I'm interested as to why Sensi went with the decision to pit 28.56 and obviously split this into a 4-stopper when it's pretty obvious that he probably could have run 34 laps there. So interesting bit of strategy. It might work out for him. You never really know. He might get a caution at the right time, but right now that short pit is not helping him at the current moment. And we'll have to see, as these guys are pretty much in their window in about, I'd say, 2 laps, like you said, lap 66. We'll put them in their window to be able to make this as Monge hits pit road right here.
Yep, Tony Monge, your leader, has hit pit road this time, and Nathan Jump, instead of waiting for a lap, he will bring it right down pit road right behind him here. So Nathan Jump abandoning his 1-lap advantage, and he elects to come down and just try and straight up beat Monge on pace, because it doesn't seem like anybody's had anything for him. Jump was catching him very slowly, very incrementally over that entire run. There wasn't really a spot where Monge had stretched it back out. It constantly got smaller. So we'll have to see now that both of these guys are going to be on even footing. One, how well they both got onto pit road, and they'll exit pit road. But how well, as you can see, Nathan Jump's going to be right behind Monge as they get off of pit road. So the fight is all but on, I'd say, as we've hit the halfway mark in this race, Elliot.
And McConville is driving around Jared Darling for the lead. Not only is he on the long strat here, but he is also just driving around these guys that I really didn't think that he would have the pace over. There's a few guys that are still trying this a little bit further run, but McConville's the only one that can consistently go 34 laps every single tank, as we're going to watch probably Jared Darling hit pit road right here. He's still a lap short. Sims with him as well, as I believe Jared's going to miss pit road.
Big moment there for Jared Darling. He slams the inside of he pulls right back in front of teammate Spencer Owens. Those are 2 guys that were actually locked in a battle for the 3rd place in the championship here. Jared Darling very haphazardly just lazily brings it back into the middle of pit road, right into the path of Spencer Owens. Quick reaction by Spencer to lock it up and narrowly avoid hitting the one truck, but that is huge and a costly mistake for both of those. Well, it's a costly mistake for the one of Jared Darling, but that's just bringing Spencer Owens right into it there. That's going to be absolutely disastrous for their races here tonight, Elliot.
Yeah, the absolute irony is the fact that it was Jared that then messed up Spencer Owens. Jared is already towed, and I believe he's done. I saw black smoke out of that engine bay. I don't know that truck's going to get fixed and run back out there tonight. It'll basically just give Spencer Owens that spot in the points, but definitely, I told you this track is not easy to get on a pit road, and Jared Darling just proved that for us. So Unfortunate run for him, but Spencer Owens could have come out of there a lot worse. Ended up working out, and he's obviously going to continue on, but he lost a lot of track position, a lot of time through all that, and may even end up a lap down right here. But he is all the way back to about 18th, 19th position here.
He's almost a lap down. He is currently fighting with Rod Fosnoff for that last lap. As you take another look at how Jared just got out from underneath him there. He wasn't able to bring it back, and then Spencer Owens comes screaming down in the pit road, and Jared's right there out in the middle of him. So you have to believe that Spectrum team chat was absolutely lighting up in that event at that time. But like I said, Spencer Owens is currently fighting with Rod Fosnoff to be the last car on the lead lap with the 92 of Tony Monge, whose pace has almost been unmatchable all night long, bearing down on him. So Spencer goes from a nice solid position there. He was contending for a top 10, quite possibly a top 5 if he could get up there. Now all the way back to the 18th position and in danger of going a lap down to your leader here, who, to change the subject very quickly, has the 25 hot on his heels, Elliot. There is no longer a multi-second gap there. It is a half-second gap. Jump can see that tailgate out his front window, and I have to imagine it's going to be like a rabbit going after a carrot, man. He is going to chase that 92 right down.
Yeah, Jump changed his strategy pretty obviously, and it's because he knows he has pace to contend with Monge. He just didn't know how hard Monge was going to push at the beginning of these runs, and now he does. So now he can equalize and match that. I just don't know how he feels about being on the same tire as him. I thought he'd want a bit of a tire advantage, but it looks like he's just going to straight up go after him, and these two have completely driven away from everybody else, although Zach Henry had a slightly different strategy, still trying to potentially three-stop this, and he has the option to because of how long he's run that second run. So Zach Henry might still be in a good enough spot to come out ahead of everybody here, but Jump gave himself the option to basically chase him, and that's what he's doing right now.
Yeah, the 92 and the 25 have absolutely put themselves in their own zip code here as they are now exiting turn 2. Zach Henry, you're waiting for it, and now he exits turn 2, and then you have to go all the way back another 4 seconds or so to the next group of Shane Neiswanger, Chris Heller, and Will Barbagelata, who have absolutely just been putting on a fight this entire time here. That 27 and that 11 truck, so they've brought themselves to the back bumper of the 49 truck, and Shane is very slow on the bottom of the racetrack. He's got to be absolutely trying to save his tires for Armageddon, basically, Elliot. There's no reason to be going that slow this early on in this run.
I don't think it's that. I think he's also opting for this three-stop strategy. Remember, any of these guys that pit on 66 could basically run this one 34 laps, and then they just need to run 33 on the last one if they ran 34 on the beginning one. If they ran to 66, if they pitted on 66, they'll have to run 34 and 34, which is a full fuel stint. So Shane might just be doing a little bit to save him that extra lap that he really needs, because it looks like most of these guys can go as long as 33, but not comfortably to 34. And it looks like he's just trying to basically save enough to do that, because he knows that Zach Henry is the other guy that's on this strategy, and McConville is probably the only other guy closest to him that could potentially contend with that.
Yeah, no doubt Shane Neiswanger saw the strategy that McConville was employing, and he's seen the speed that he's had. I mean, McConville still, after pitting 7 laps ago, is still up in the ninth position solidly, and you have to imagine he's just going to continue to march forward here all night long. So I can't really blame him for wanting to go to that strategy, Elliot. It looks like it could be the ticket here, as the raw speed department has just been absolutely torn away from the entire field between Monge and Jump, who are now locked in a fight going into turn 3 here, as Jump is at his back bumper.
Yeah, it looks like these two are on their own strategy, and that is we're just going to drive the wheels off of it and try to win this race while everybody else is on this three-stopper. It's obvious by the speed difference and the gap that these two have put on the field that they don't care about anything besides trying to lead this race, and everyone else is looking at a strategy point to put themselves in victory lane. So right now, you've got Monge and Jump locked in a heated battle. Meanwhile, Zach Henry, I think, has backed off well enough that he's on this 34-34 stopper, or 34-34 lapper here. Now, their number to hit is 100, and if Jump and Monge are about 2 or 3 laps short, there's no way that they're going to be able to run the end of the race like that.
Like you said, though, Elliot, I don't think their concern is fuel at all. I think their concern is how fast can I get my foot back to the bottom of the floor here, as Jump is all over the back bumper of the 92, and he's you can see him getting back in that throttle early on. He's drifting up a lot sooner than Monge on corner exit, Elliott, and that's going to be hurting his rear tires and his front tires here. You're just going to cook all of those, if I'm not mistaken, Elliott. You're going to have to help me here. You're a lot better in the tire wear department than I am, but Jump looks to be pushing here, and it is not helping his cause as Monge starts to eke away a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's also at a deficit. He needs to try to get to the top and try something different because he's just following in his footsteps. And with that dirty air with the truck, it's not going to benefit him as the lights have officially come on here. That'll maybe change people's ideas of what they want to do. But with the fact that he's just following Monge around the track, especially Homestead, it seems, really gives you an arrow push on exit. And you can see it from the middle of the corner out right there. The truck just starts to go straight. And coming off of turn 4, he's just not really getting anywhere. As we go back to this battle right there with Jackson Sims, Nick Caressel, and others. Sims making a march back up towards the front. Not sure which strategies any of these guys are on at this point. They all seem to be on a similar one. But Sims starting to make his run back up towards the top 10 after faltering back towards about 13th or 14th in the last run.
Yeah, these guys, Matt Durr is one of those two who has thrown out the anchor. He's trying to fuel save as much as possible. He was up there in that 7th position. He has now given up 3 spots to fall back to the 10th place spot, running right next to his dad there in the who's in the 11th. So it's a family affair there for the 10th and 11th spot as Mike McConville continues Adolfo Delgado almost brought out our first caution right there. He got up in the outside wall. You saw it right there. Wow, Gavin Fitzgerald dirt tracking it right there in front of him. 2 guys who have just hanging it out in the mid part of this event. Adolfo up in the wall already on corner exit. Those guys, their trucks are an absolute handful as we've hit the mid part of this run, Elliott.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting because you've got guys short pitting like Sensi out here, and we haven't really seen much out of that truck, doing anything weird. But these guys that are running long, obviously they eat those tires a lot more, and if they're trying to run all the way through that fuel run, they're starting to lose the rears, especially running up towards the top, as a lot of these guys have started to transition to. So you can see Gavin and Adolfo kind of struggling there. Meanwhile, others are probably struggling with the truck being tight because of running in traffic. So that's what makes Homestead great, is the fact that the trucks kind of react a little bit differently to how you drive them, and depending on how you drive them, different tires will wear and make your truck drive a little bit different than others.
Yeah, and that's why we love this track so much here in the Great Lakes Truck Series. Always puts on a good show here, as this group of 4 has now caught Shane Neiswanger and is quickly dispatching him. So move McConville up to 6th, Sims up to 7th. I imagine Caressel is about to go around the 49 here within the next lap or two. Shane Neiswanger absolutely throwing out the parachute here and going backwards to try and get back on that long strategy here. But you got to think, Elliott, that with all of these guys jumping to the McConville strategy, he's now the one who's ahead of all of them. So he's got to be in the catbird seat, right? As the laps start to tick down here in Homestead.
Yeah, I'd say he kind of looks like the genius. The only question is going to be how Zach Henry handles it, and if he can actually run as long as he needs to make this work. Again, magic number here is lap 100. Anybody that makes it to 100 or beyond is completely safe, barring obviously a green, white, checkered. But anybody that doesn't make it to 100 and pits on 99, they're going to be a lap short, have to fuel save a little bit here. So that's the number they're all looking for. And right now, McConville and I'd have to say the 52, wherever Brockman is. I was just looking on the boards, but I don't see him. I'm not sure if maybe he ran into an issue. He's down in 16th right now. Those are the 2 that we know have been running long enough, running 34 every single stint to be able to make it to the end. They should be able to go to about lap 101, 102 with no issue. But the others are all around here are looking like they're probably only going to make it to about lap 100, if that.
Strategy all afoot here as now Michael Sensi hits pit road. So strategy all over the place here in this one. We're going to step aside for a quick break here and bring you back to all the action as pit stops start to unfold here in Homestead.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Okay. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again, then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Welcome back to the Homestead-Miami Speedway, where the talk of the town continues to be Tony Monge leading, but his only competition of the night, Nathan Jump, has now hit pit road, and he is going to be pitting a lap early of, or at least a lap early of Monge, 10 laps early of when we expected it to. Elliot, this is going to throw a huge wrench into everything.
Yeah, we're going radio style for a second. Unfortunately, we'll try to get that stream back up for you, but we'll keep you as updated as we can. Jump currently in his box. Looks like a 4-tire stop full of fuel. He still can't make it to the end from here, so he is completely removing himself from that strategy and from potentially the win at this point. And he is going with a 4-stopper, and looks like he'll have to come in with about 10 laps to go. He might split this one in half, obviously, and try to basically go hard here for these next 2 little stints. But yeah, it's all on Tony Monge to see what he wants to do, but both of these guys are basically cutting themselves out of the win if this is the case, as we've still got Zach Henry, William Barbagelata, and others on track trying to make this long run work. Obviously, McConville is the one on the best strategy, but Zach still has about a 6-second lead over McConville if this continues.
Tony Monge brings the 92 truck down pit road this time. He will also throw that strategy, throw the foot to the floor strategy out the window here as Jump hit pit road last time. It's going to be the 92 down this time for 4 tires and fuel. Elliot, how is that going to, the 1 lap difference now is now in Jump's court. How is that going to affect this long run here as we get down to the end?
Well, none of that really matters for them, honestly. They're racing each other for what will probably be close to 10th or 15th, somewhere back in there, depending on how it all sorts out. If they've got to take that extra stop, they're going to be hoping for a lucky caution at some point with a massive lead after this cycles through is basically what they're hoping for. Or Jump is still on the lead lap. Like, he's not really out of it, but they just need a break somewhere in this to make sure that they can have a shot at this. But right now we're watching to see who can go to lap 100. That's the count now. We've completed 92 laps. We are currently on 93 as Zach's getting really loose off of turn 2, trying to hold on to those rear tires. But these guys are all still trying to go about 7 more and get to lap 100 before they make their pit stops.
Tony Monge has brought that 92 truck back onto the racing surface. He is now 5 or so seconds back of that 25 truck. So the advantage is now in Nathan Jump's court with that early pit stop here. Tony's going to have to flex all that speed that we've seen him all night long have and run back down your season 9 champion, Nathan Jump. In this one, he's got a long way to do it, but he's shown the speed, Elliot, to be able to run him back down over the course of these next 41 laps.
Yeah, and I believe we've got other pit stops happening. Maybe not. I think we've just got positions shifting around with Eric Kepf, Lewis Woodall, and others all around this madhouse mess for 7th on back. Actually, Eric Kepf looks like he's lapped down. He may have honestly short pitted as well. Obviously, since he started all of that, Gavin Fitzgerald on pit road right now. These guys all pitting because the leaders pitted. They don't think they can make it. So there we go. Half the field is now splitting off. They're going to pit 10 laps earlier than what they really need, 5 laps earlier than what they really need. And now the different strategies really start to set in as McConville's now putting it to the paces against Chris Heller side by side off of turn 2. Mike McConville trying to go for 2nd right now. Heller and Barbagelata look on helplessly.
I was going to say, Elliot, throw the talk of pits and fuel out the window. Mike McConville, who has been on this long run all night, has passed Chris Heller for that second position on track on the long stretch. On the long stretch, Mike has shown the speed, and he has picked his way methodically through just about the entire field here, as he's got a long way to go catch Zach Henry with only about 3 or so laps left in this run. He's not going to get there in this run, but Mike McConville has had the long run pace over just about anyone other than those other two, being Jump and Monge in this one. So Mike McConville moves up into the second spot here as we are in this pit cycle.
You know, I was calling Tensi out pretty much all night, but if, you know, the majority of the field switches over to a four-stopper, he might look like a genius with potentially a top 10 run. Don't forget, guys like Shane Neiswanger have completely backed off the mark. Shane 9.5 seconds behind Zach Henry. At one point was racing him for about the third spot in there, but right now has sunk all the way to nearly a 10-second deficit to Zach Henry as he's trying to make this strategy work as well. But right now on lap 97, Zach Henry, Mike McConville, Chris Heller, William Barbagelata, Jackson Sims, your top five, with McConville usually going the furthest, Zach Henry right there about a lap behind him. We'll have to see which one is going to be able to make this run work.
Yeah, you've got four cars right there, trucks rather, in within striking distance of each other for that second through fifth spot back to Jackson Sims. Then it's about a 3 to 4 second gap back to Shane Neiswanger and Matt Durr, who, like you mentioned, Elliot, threw out the anchor and they went into full fuel saving mode about halfway through this. Well, I say halfway, about right at the start of this run, they elected to make the switch on this fuel run. So these guys definitely. The fuel strategy is there for just about all of them. Save Zach Henry, who has been able to keep a 4 to 5 second gap over top of whoever's been running behind him in that fourth spot. He's been able to keep a big gap in between him and the riffraff behind him. So Zach Henry able to flex a little bit of a pace, but he's got a big enough a gap that he could probably, as we've got a big wreck on the back straightaway here. Rod Fosnaugh and Preston Henry have wrecked on the back straightaway, but it doesn't look like there's going to be a caution. They will stay green this time, so that is absolutely massive for all these guys on this strategy to stay green, and that's really what it all hinges on, Elliot.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch and see. It looks like Preston just kind of got turned on the inside wall. I'm trying to watch and see who's going to hit pit road here. They really need to pit. But nobody's hitting pit road on lap 99. So if these guys can go to 100, they should be able to, in theory, make this work pretty easily. Heller call now his pit stop right now. It looks like lap 100 is going to be the mark for these guys. McConville will probably go a lap later just for some safety, but Zach Henry's actually going all the way to 101 as well.
Zach Henry stays out on the racetrack. Chris Heller, William Barbagelata hits pit road. Matt Durr follows behind. Save the 81, the 6, and the 49 have all stayed out on the track in terms of guys up in the top 5 conversation for this one. And it's the 5 now of Brent Kincott brings his truck down on the pit road here as we welcome you back with a broadcast here looking at our leader, Zach Henry, as he hits pit road this time very aggressively coming down off that banking. So pit stops are now, like you mentioned, Elliot, lap 100, lap 101 is the magic number for these guys, as they will get their final service of the night.
So there you go. Everybody kind of able to jump over this. Rod Fosnaugh gets into pit road sideways, makes a little bit of contact potentially, and he has a bit of an issue, but he'll continue on. No yellow flag or anything going on there, but it looks like McConville's going to go a lap later than pretty much everyone, go to 102 here, but everyone else right around that 100 to 101 mark. So Nathan Jump and Tony Monge will filter back up to the lead here, but they will not be able to make this. They are 10 laps short as McConville now hits pit road.
Boy, Shane Neiswanger, you want to talk about somebody who was absolutely saving. He was on that early, we'll call it the normal strategy if you want to, but then he jumped all the way to Mike McConville's strategy and is now pit with the 81 truck there. So the 49 and the 81 on pit road this time. So those guys will have roughly a 3-lap tire advantage on most of the field, and then still a 2-lap advantage over the rest of them. So those guys are going to have the tire. Will they have the time to make it back up there, Elliot?
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, obviously Shane wasn't too far behind McConville, but it's really going to come down to how quickly these guys can try to catch Zach Henry. Zach Henry was the one that was making this all work the best way possible. Went to 101, was able to stretch it as far as he needed, and still had a 6-second gap. So we'll have to see how much these guys can really pressure him at this point. Obviously, they can all pretty much make it on fuel. I don't think anyone's worried about trying to go 33 or 32 laps. It's the guys that pit well before, like Nathan Jump, Tony Monge, Michael Sensi, that we know cannot make it whatsoever. But all these other guys should be pretty solidly in the mark here. As I believe Sensi's already hit pit road again. No, he still stays out.
You can pretty much throw fuel strategy out the window. Everybody, just about everybody, save Michael Sensi, has gotten their final service of the night. Except for those top two. There's no way that they can make it, and I expect to see them on roughly about lap 110 here, about 5 laps away. I expect them, Elliot, if you concur on that one. Those guys running as absolutely hard as they can, as Tony Monge has not been able to run jump back down. The gap has shrunk just a little bit here as they both enter turn 3 this time, coming out of turn 4, but he hasn't caught him and run him back down like Jump did to Tony earlier on in this event.
Yeah, I mean, he's still getting there. It's probably going to be pretty tight. The real question is when they decide to pit. They can obviously go until 10 to go here, so they've got another 20 laps in it. Do they want to stretch it that far, or do they try to pit pretty early? If they pit now, they might have a shot at still a top 10 with how much pace they have, but it's all just going to depend on what they really want to do here.
I'm sticking my foot in my mouth because Tony Monge was so far back that last lap. This time he's right there sniffing on Jump's back bumper. He's going to look to the inside as Jump got loose there. They're going to be side by side as they flash across the line this time. Monge looking inside. He wants the lead once again, and he's going to get it here. Monge going to clear Nathan Jump as they go into turn 1 here. Monge on the inside, Jump fighting back on the outside, and Louis Woodall there providing a little bit of a distraction on the inside. He's going to try and take both of these guys on the inside. They're 3 wide down the back straightaway as Monge fires it off into turn 3. I believe he will solidly have the lead as they round this corner this time.
Yeah, they got to deal with all these guys on fresher tires now, and like I said, if they pit now, they still have a chance at potentially a top 10, being able to track them down with 30-ish laps left. But the longer they stay out here hoping for a yellow or something, the worse off that's going to get, and they're going to lose a lot of time to Zach Henry, Chris Heller, and others, but more importantly to guys like Louis Woodall, Robin Durr, and Adolfo Delgado that they could potentially still pass here before it's all over.
If you're Nathan Jump, do you not just pit right here since you've relinquished the lead? Try and catch Monge out as he's on the outside of Robin Durr. He will not be able to hit pit road this time, and that's exactly what Jump's going to do. He's going to bring it to pit road this time. So Jump's going to have once again another 1-lap advantage. Elliot, how is this one? I mean, we're going to have 25 laps to go, and this one, can Monge running back down in that short time frame here, as this is going to make it for those guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's all null and void. They're still just trying to get a top 10 out of this because we know that Zach Henry, Heller, Barber Gelato, and these others can make it to the end on the run that they're on. So this is just their final stop. And, I mean, we can talk about it all night, but it doesn't really matter at this point because they're not going to be able to get up towards that lead anymore.
And Monge didn't even pit this time, so Jump's going to have more than a fair share of laps on over top of them when they all cycle back out. But yeah, that's going to relinquish the lead when Monge eventually pits over to Zach Henry, who's going to have a solid 4-second gap over Chris Heller. So Zach Henry once again looks like he's going to come out on top down here in South Florida.
He's always been really good at this track, and honestly, his strategies are what really puts him in position. And sometimes they don't work out, but like tonight, where he didn't have any cautions to deal with, or a lot of different things happening, he was able to just focus on his own race and run his way through, and you could see just how well he was able to make that work as Evan Snyder pits right in front of him and Sensi obviously on that super undercut strategy. I believe Sensi's probably just going to run this out as far as he can, hope for a late yellow, which will put him back on the lead lap in 8th, which would be a pretty solid jump. But for him, for Jump, for Monge, that strategy just did not work, and Jump is only 15th. Like I said, has a chance to potentially drive up and get a top 10 here still. Not out of anything yet, but definitely a damper to his night.
We're definitely going to have to go back and pick the brains of Tony Monge and Nathan Jump. I have to imagine with how vocal Jump's been about the fuel strategy this season. I have to imagine as Tony Monge hits pit road this time, so he's going to finally get some Goodyear stickers and go back out there and try and salvage a top 10 here late in this event. But we're gonna have to, like I said, we're gonna have to pick the brains of both of these drivers here as to, like, were they just trying to chase each other too hard around the racetrack and neglected to think about the fuel strategy, or did everyone else just was fuel not even in the brain? Were they just going for raw speed? I mean, obviously Nathan Jump had nothing to lose. He clinched the championship when the green flag fell, so you can't really blame him there. But it's so interesting to see how the two dominant cars got caught out like this.
Well, I think, I don't want to speak for anyone, but obviously Monge, new to the league, first night here, he obviously, he may not have paid attention to exactly how far he can go on fuel, jumped in and didn't realize that, this would go green all the way through. You don't really know what to expect in a new league, so can't really say anything that, negative about that. But at the same time, he may not have known exactly what the fuel load was and how many stops it would have been and everything if he would have just run long. So he was just going as hard as he could from the get-go. We saw that. He drove out to a 2-second lead. Everyone let him go. And then I think from Jump's perspective, it just turns into what you said. He didn't have anything to lose, and he's like, well, I'm not going to let this guy just drive away from me, when in retrospect, if he would have played it a little bit safer and paid attention to what his teammates were doing and listened to them, they probably could have come out of here with a 1-2-3, because he had the pace, and he's got Zach Henry leading with Chris Heller still battling Barbagelata, honestly, but he was right there in that second spot, and they potentially had a chance to the 1-2 tonight.
Well, those two, the 11 and the 27, are battling each other, but it's going to be a moot point here, as here comes Mike McConville again. He's going to leapfrog himself into that third position, looking to the inside of Barbagelata this time. Nothing doing. Barb slams the door on him down low, but Mike McConville has those two-lap fresher tires than these guys. Can he go and run down Zach Henry? I think the gap's going to be too much to overcome here in this one, but Mike McConville, the driver who started it all, him and Ross Brockman, got to give Ross a shout out here in this one, still running back there in the 13th position for his wild and wacky off strategy ways. But Mike McConville here showing the long run pace on the off strategy, enough to flip the entire field, save Nathan Jump and Tony Monge here. Mad props to him. He has absolutely been a name to recognize all season long, as he gets a little squirrely there. Barb's not ready to give up that second place position to him this time, as Barb fires it back down into turn 3.
Yeah, we like to equate Barb with the Ryan Newman reference. He is incredibly difficult to pass and will race you for every inch of the track. Honestly, I'm impressed by Sims as well. McConville may have caught the wall a little bit, got pretty close to it there. And he's going to have to block Sims and go all the way to the bottom here. That's going to kill his whole run. He needs to try to displace Barb. He seemed like he had the pace to potentially go up there and catch Zach Henry. There's still nearly 20 laps left of this race, 15 to go. So he's starting to run out of time and run out of tires now. But I was also impressed with the fact that Sims is up here running 5th. We talked about him really early in the race and how he didn't seem to have the pace. And he's completely flipped this race as well and has put himself in a position to potentially get a podium.
Yeah, these three drivers here, I mean, they've all, whoa, man, Mike McConville, I don't know if he knew Jackson Sims was up there. But those three guys been all around each other for this top 5 battle all night long, and now it's turned into a fight for the podium here with the top 2 happenings here, as Mike McConville still trying to make it work, as Chris Heller gets a huge run and dives to the inside of Barbagelata. He has the momentum and wants to pass this time. He's going to easily clear him as he fires it off into turn 3. Mike McConville trying to follow through on suit. He's going to wash right up into the side of Will Barb, and Mike is just having a whale of a time to try and get by that 27 truck, Elliot.
Yeah, definitely struggling. This is where, you've got the top lane. You can go up there and try it. Sims is going to do it, and I think Barb's just going to back out of it right there. Honestly, I don't know if he lost the rears or what, but McConville's going to close the door really quickly. But Sims with a big run around the top, and this is where that top lane's really starting to come in. I don't know why these guys aren't shifting up there and trying that a lot more. They all seem super committed to the bottom, which is just really bizarre. I thought the outside would start to come in, especially you can see how much McConville's sliding. If you go to the top, that lessens, and you can get through the corner a little bit better. So interesting to see that no one's really trying that. But on the other side of this, Nathan Jump has moved all the way up to 9th. I said they had a chance at the top 10. I didn't think they'd have a chance at potentially 6th, but he's already closing up on Matt Durr. He's around Matt Durr for 7th and potentially could catch Shane Neiswanger if he drives hard enough here.
He's got 7 seconds to make up in the span of 15, make it 14 laps when Zach Henry flashes back across the line this time. So nothing, it wouldn't be anything that we haven't seen Jump do before. But as we look back on this battle, an interesting note, Monge, we saw how early Jump pit compared to Monge in that last one. Tony Monge took 2 tires to try and compensate for that later pit, and now he came out in front of Jump, but now Jump has reclaimed the advantage up in front of him there. So got to respect the effort from him as we continue to look at this battle, as Jackson Sims has now moved himself up into the second place spot and is trying to check out, while the 81 and the 11 continue to do battle here in 3 and 4.
Yeah, don't look now, but Sims is really bearing down on Zach Henry, and if he goes back up to the top like he was those last couple laps, I don't know, he might have a little bit left in the tank to get there. He's taking chunks out, tenths at a time, 2 or 3 each lap, but now they go back to the bottom. I got to question if that's the right strategy. He just made all that time up and passed all 3 of these guys on the top and then went back to the bottom. So maybe he's running faster down there, but right now I wouldn't quite count him out.
I think it's just a matter of the fact that you save tires a little bit better, or at least you save maybe the fronts or the rears a little bit better on that bottom lane. And when we get to, well, I would have started going to the top side, like you said, they're right around 15 to go. But all these drivers are on an incredibly long pit run here, with Zach Henry and Jackson Sims on a 22-lap pit run, and Mike McConville, the only one in the top 5 on that 21, who pit a lap later in this one, as we see him start to bear back down on that 6 truck. So I don't know how much of a chunk that Sims is going to be able to take out of Zach Henry, while he's got the 81 to deal with back behind him.
I mean, tire saving be damned. You've got this run, but you know that your truck is fast, and I would just try to place it wherever I can go to maximize time at this point. They were making up time, but it looks like Zach's kind of found something and actually opened up the gap a little bit there. Maybe McConville's gotten a little bit too close to Sims. McConville by himself is significantly quicker than all these guys. Granted, he has fresher tires than everybody around him, so that's kind of expected, but the fact that they keep running the bottom and wearing out those rear tires just really doesn't help these guys throughout the whole run. But right now, it looks like as timing and scoring goes back across, Zach Henry 0.2 quicker again that time, so these guys are pretty much just in a race for second here.
As we hit 10 to go here in the season, I want to take one more opportunity here. If you like what you see on track here, GLTS is actively recruiting for its 10th season that will kick off right in the beginning of July. We've got a little bit of a summer series in the Xfinity car to fill in the gap there for the difference in time, just to give everybody a little decompress from the truck series before we get going here. So if you like what you see on track and you want to come join and race with us like Tony Monge has here tonight, and he's put on a heck of a show for us, click that link, follow that link you see on your screen there to get into our Discord, and our admins will hook you up and get you a number picked out and get you all set for the 10th season in Great Lakes Truck Series. Elliot, that one's shaping up to be a good one with all the new players that we've seen emerge in this one. Mike McConville has come into his own. Jackson Sims has reared his head. Nathan Jump just being in his own zip code all season. We're gonna have to go back there and remind these boys that they've got 2 more guys coming back onto the track. So season 10 shaping up to be an excellent season. So we'd love to have you come out and join us.
Yeah, really excited for what's going to happen next season. But I mean, we've still got a little over 5 laps left in this one and some exciting stuff going on. Robin Durr is still all the way up in 11th. We talked about him super early in this race, but has driven from 21st all the way up there. Mike McConville and Jackson Sims, I don't know if Jackson got a little bit loose or if he just tried to door him or what just happened there, but that's going to mess up McConville's run into the corner. Probably could have had him cleared right there, honestly, but a little maneuver from Sims is going to keep him side by side with McConville as they come down the backstretch now. I'm sure McConville's getting a little bit frustrated at this point, but you're back to what I was saying. Robin Durr, Louis Woodall running up there. Ross Brockman's hanging out in 13th. Brent Kingcott with a solid run back around 15th there. You got to be interested to see how these guys perform next season, considering we've seen them get a little bit more confident this season.
Absolutely, 6 to go this time, and I want to take a deeper peek back deeper in the field. Evan Snyder and Rod Fosnaugh Preston Henry, those guys who come out here every week and race with us. They're not necessarily always the ones we talk about being towards the back of the pack, but we love having them out here. Having a bigger field absolutely makes this league so great. Here is Mike McConville's up in the wall from oh my gosh, Adolfo Delgado saves it. No, Shane Neiswanger absolutely gets collected, and the race has been turned on its head. Oh my goodness, Elliot, we are going to have a caution, and this is undoubtedly going to go to a green-white checkered. Shane Neiswanger was having such a good run there in the 6th position, and the 8 absolutely just lost it off of turn 4. Tried to collect it, had it saved all the way down, pretty much halfway down the front straightaway, and then it just snapped loose on him and careened back towards the outside wall there, and then Shane Neiswanger had nowhere to go. This is an absolutely huge development, Elliot.
Yeah, I mean, on the other side of this, Michael Sensi gets back on the lead lap here. Wow, I don't have words for that. I think it looked like Adolfo just kind of got stuck turning back right after it locked up brakes, and he just came back up across. You could see it here from Shane's perspective. Adolfo looks like he's good, and then it just locks, and it locks hard. And I mean, there's no that. What do you do if you're Shane Neiswanger? You expect him to just stay low and kind of run the apron there and not come back up across the track. And unfortunately for Shane, that truck came back right and came right across his nose, and a top 5 run is now going to go completely out the window for the 49 truck.
That's absolutely lethal for him. I know he is not going to be happy about that one. And another driver who is not going to be happy about this one, Zach Henry in the 12 had a 4-second lead over Jackson Sims, and it has now all been erased, and it has brought everyone back together here as we hit pit road on this one. And Mike McConville blows his box. That's going to be absolutely massive for him. He's going to undoubtedly lose his position. We're going to have to see where he cycles out in this one. Zach Henry, it's happened so many times to him, it feels like. As I take that back, Will Barbagelata and Mike McConville have taken 2 tires. So throw that wrench into things. They will line up 1 and 2. Zach Henry comes out 3rd. Jackson Sims 4th. Chris Heller 5th. And then comes the duo of Nathan Jump and Tony Monge. Not necessarily in that order, by the way. I believe Tony beat Jump off of pit road.
Boy, I love some GLTS racing. 2 tires here on potentially one of the loosest tracks we've been to. I don't agree with it, but it'll be very interesting to watch, I'll tell you that. I think Zach Henry and Chris Heller in the catbird seat, but just because Nathan Jump and Tony Monge are right there, you really can't discount anybody. I'm sorry, Jackson Sims is also right there. I don't agree with the strategy for the 81 or the 27. I'm not sure if maybe McConville switched to that because he blew his box or what he did, but interesting call considering these trucks have been sliding all night long, but they've only got to make it last for 2 laps.
If he did, that was some fast reflexes from the 81 camp. I know it is not easy to change from 4 tires to 2 in the heat of trying to get that truck backed up. But I believe Mike was trying to take 2 tires that entire time and leapfrog the 12 of Zach Henry there. We saw Mike struggling a little bit in traffic there to put the pass on Will Barbagelata. Now he's got to get back by him again. He'll start on the outside or next to Barb, depending on what lane Barb chooses. But like you mentioned with that Ryan Newman analogy, it's going to be hard to pass Will Barbagelata. He's going to make that truck 8 lanes wide here, and he's going to have to block all of them here in Homestead, as it's going to be a green-white checkered in this one. We will have 3 attempts at it if they wreck again. And Elliot, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple of them wadding them up down the back.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't expect anything different. Yeah, we'll have to see. I really am interested to see how Sims reacts to this. He hasn't really been in a spot all night. He's been around here, but for him to have a shot at a win in that lane, remember, he's the one that's been working the top as well. If he goes up there and these 2 get loose on the bottom, he could potentially sneak away with this one. Like, I think unless Zach can get to the bottom and make it 3 wide, it looks like Barb's going to pick the top. That that's going to put Jackson Sims in about the best position to just run the outside and just make sure they can't clear him.
Yeah, I think my pick, I'm going to make my pick right here. It's going to be Jackson Sims. He's going to get his first Truck Series win tonight. Those two tires, I don't believe, as Will Barbergelata is going to take the outside on this one, as we've hit the one to go. So they stack up 2x2 down the back straightaway. So you're going to have Mike McConville there on the inside. Will Barb's going to have the run on the outside, but both of them have two tires, and you're going to go back to Zach Henry on the bottom with 4 fresh ones. But Jackson Sims there, I question Zach Henry's short run pace. He's not a very aggressive driver. He's very well known for that long run pace. So I think you gotta go with the 6 of Sims or the 11 of Heller. We know Heller's hungry. And then back behind them, it's absolutely going to be a dogfight here as we've got them re-racked and stacked. Pace truck dives onto pit road this time. One green-white checkered attempt in is what we're going to get as Will Barb is away with a shot. Mike McConville gets left stranded, and here comes Jackson Sims. He's going to be alongside the 81 as they dive off into turn 1.
And they're going to be 3 wide. Zach Henry going to try and go to the bottom. He gets blocked off by McConville. That is exactly what I expected, and Zach's going to get loose in front of him. He's going to save it. Luckily, maybe. Oh, Monge gets turned in the middle of the field. We're going to get another yellow.
I don't want to say I called it, but I called it. Tony Monge went off of the front bumper of Nathan Jump, and it just spun around. Multiple trucks got wrapped up in that. I believe the 63 of Eric Kep was involved. We're going to re-rack them, restack them, do it all again, but the big loser on that one, Zach Henry, and then obviously Tony Monge.
I'd say Mike McConville's the other loser because he's going to be stuck on that inside, whether it's behind Barb or not. But the big winner there, Sims, is able to jump them all. I think his biggest competition is going to be Heller at this point, and I just don't know if Heller has had the pace compared to Sims all night. But that honestly helps Heller and Sims to basically clear themselves out here with Jump kind of losing a few spots and Zach Henry dropping back. I mean, this is Sims' race right here, and I don't know that there's much that Barb can do. You obviously just saw that Sims drove around the outside of McConville with absolutely no issue, and that's exactly what I expected. I just didn't expect Zach to get as loose as he did, and I assume he's going to do the same thing to Barb as we're going to pull up a replay and look at exactly what happened to Monge there.
You saw the replay on your screen, and you want to talk about a heartbreak. Ross Brockman had absolutely slingshotted around on that high side. He had a massive run, but not unlike Shane Neiswanger getting caught up in Adolfo Delgado's spin, nowhere for that 52 truck to go. He gets heavy damage as he absolutely T-boned Tony Monge there going down the back straightaway. A huge crushing blow to the 52's efforts here tonight. And as you get an onboard look at it right there, huge contact there as he's on pit road servicing that truck to try and get it repaired before we go back green. But that's absolutely heartbreaking for the 52. He had such a good run going tonight, and then that caution brought him back right up in the mix, and he had the run. I was very curious to see where he could go with that. Absolutely painful break for that 52 truck.
Yeah, really looking like he was going to get a top 10 run out of that, especially on the tires and everything, and played the fuel strategy for a while, and unfortunately going to get roped up in this one. The 5 truck also involved Brent Kingcott. It's Nick Caressel right there. A lot of guys that were just kind of getting their feet wet tonight, getting a nice little run in to end the season. And I mean, Brent had a nice clean race, and Caressel had a nice race right around the top 10. I don't think he's too bad off. He didn't hit pit road, still sitting 9th, but definitely frustrating for some of those guys that felt like they just avoided everything tonight, and fortunately, right at the end, couldn't avoid that one.
Absolutely big wreck after such a dominant run for Tony Monge. Got caught out on that pit strategy, but he had the speed all night long. You hate to see it in his first GLTS start. It looked like he was going to run away with it until the fuel strategy, and then this. Obviously, it's absolutely massive here as they're still going down the back straightaway under caution. I believe we're going to have it's going to be 2 pace laps to go this time. But you want to talk about a hungry group up here at the top 5. Will Barbagelata hasn't run full time in GLTS in, correct me if I'm wrong, Elliot, roughly 2 seasons. It's been almost a year since we've seen Will Barbagelata, that is, full time. He's going to be hungry. He hasn't tasted victory in the Great Lakes Truck Series in quite a while. Jackson Sims does not have a Truck Series win to his name. Neither does Mike McConville. Or no, I take that back. Mike McConville has. He won earlier this year at Indy. So, but only having one win, you know he's going to be hungry for another one. He's tasted blood in the water. He wants that sweet taste again. Chris Heller, in his return to Great Lakes Truck Series, has not won this season. Chris used to be one of the most dominant guys on the track. You know he wants to get back to victory lane. And then Matt Durr has not tasted victory in so long. He was contending for, I believe it was the season 4 championship when we still did the playoff elimination format, Elliot, and you can correct me on that one once again. So that top 5, I would say, are probably the most hungry guys you could set to go after a win in this one.
I mean, only 3 of those guys in the top 10 have won a race this season. And I'm pretty sure half of them have never won a race in general. So in this series, I should say. So definitely an interesting group to have up here. But I got to imagine these 2 tire boys are going to be feeling it as Barb's going to pick the top again. And
somebody needs to let Jackson Sims know they are coming to the one.
No.
That's not how that works, Sims. He's going to have to take the bottom. Will Barb backs off here as we come to the green. Jackson Sims not getting. We're going to have to take it back in the rule book in that one. But regardless, we're re-racked, restacked. Pace truck dives onto pit road this time. Will Barbagelata's got the field in his control. Green flag is out. He's away with a shot once again. The 81 and the 6 are going to be side by side when they go off into the corner. The 44, the 11 are side by side. Zach Henry hot on their heels, though, as they dive off into one.
Yeah, Sims going to arc it through the corner there. Heller didn't get a good run. Matt Durr gets a really good run through the corner. He's going to come out with the 4th spot. Oh, my, McConville gets really loose on those 2 tires. It's all on Sims to try to get to Barbagelata as they go off into 3.
The 63 of Eric Kepf lost it off of turn 4, but we stay green here as Jackson Sims fires it down into turn 3, and he's going to throw a slide job on Will Barbagelata. Barb here comes with the crossover. Will Barbagelata still holds the advantage. White flag is out. This is the last lap. It's all on the money here. Barbagelata on the inside. Jackson Sims on the outside. What does Matt Durr sitting there in the 3rd spot?
Barb nearly put Sims in the wall. They're 3 wide coming down the back stretches. Jackson Sims tries to eke out Matt Durr on the inside. They're all going to drive off into the corner, but I believe Sims should have that run on the top. He gets tight. He almost gets into the wall. Matt Durr's going to throw a slider. Durr in the lead.
Matt Durr's going to lead him to the line. They're 3 wide behind him. Nothing good. 4 wide. Matt Durr wins it here in Homestead in an absolute thriller to end the race and end the season. Oh my gosh, Elliot.
That is just, man, you got to feel for Zach Henry to lose another one, but that is just absolutely phenomenal to watch that happen. I thought Sims was going to be in the wall. Barb gave him just enough room. You got to give Barb credit for not just walling him there. And Matt Durr with the run and just the drive into turn 3 to make that all work. That was unbelievable there.
It's like you said, those 4 tires were, there was nothing really Barb could hold him off. I thought he would have a better shot at it, but with how wide this racetrack is, wherever Barb goes, Matt Durr goes to the opposite side. So it's so hard to hold him off here with how wide the racetrack is, and Matt Durr absolutely putting on a clinic on how to pass here on newer tires as he brings it down. He's gonna burn it down here on pit road in the season finale. What a finish. I am at a loss for words. You can't end the season any better than Elliot.
Man, I said McConville and Barb were absolutely that they were sitting ducks on that restart, and they absolutely were not. They drove those trucks. I mean, they had a lot of pace all night, but to see them finish 2nd and 3rd is honestly really surprising. I thought Sims and Durr would drive around them, and I mean, they did. They just couldn't really hold it down as they did it. So super impressive by Matt Durr, and you got to respect Nathan Jump allowing him to do his burnouts before Jump goes and does his championship thing. But really, really impressive run by Matt Durr. We're going to go ahead and get the top 3 interviewed here and interview your eventual champion on the season before we get off the air tonight.
As we continue to look at Matt Durr burning it down, he relinquishes the track to your season 9 champion in dominant fashion, Nathan Jump. he gets one final burnout here. Didn't quite get the win. He missed out on his record 8th win this season, but 7 wins is still a record for him. And with those stats, Elliot, just on the screen there, it's an absolutely impressive run. One of probably the most dominant performance. You've been here for the entire history of the Great Lakes Truck Series. Probably one of the most dominant performances throughout an entire season that we've ever seen here.
Yeah, I'd say so. There's definitely been a few seasons where guys have 6 wins and go off, but 7 wins is absolutely insane, and to have an average finish in the 5s is pretty wild. So really kudos to Nathan Jump. He said he wanted to come in here and win races. He ended up winning races and won the championship, and he'll get to celebrate that and potentially come back next season and try to do it all over again. We're going to get to him a little bit later on, but first we've got Mike McConville for you, Brittle.
One more time for the final time this season. Mike McConville, it's Brittle and the boys up in the booth. Do you have us?
Yes, sir. Woo! Best Taco Bell truck. Yeah.
I understand the jubilation, my man. Take us through that last restart there. That was absolutely wild to watch. What was going through your mind other than put the foot to the floor?
Well, we got to back up a little bit. We got to go to the pit stop. I absolutely biffed myself. I overshot my pit stall and made a drastic change for 2 tires, and it bit me so hard. If I didn't overshoot my pit stall and was able to take 4, we might have had this one. But man, on that restart, I was doing everything I could to get the right sides, to get some temperature in them, and it was an all-out brawl. That was some fun racing those last few laps.
Absolutely, it looked fun, and man, I want to go back to that pit stop. Yeah, you blew it, but we were talking about it up here in the booth. You were able to change from a 4-tire stop to a 2-tire stop over the course of just what's got to be 1 to 2 seconds with missing the box, backed it up and deselected some tires to still come out with 2 tires and with that second place spot. That's an impressive, an impressive feat in and of itself, man. I'm absolutely flabbergasted. The entire last 20 minutes of this race have absolutely floored me. You can't end a season better than that. Talk about the strategy. You were the one, you and Ross Brockman, to flip the strategy and go with that long run early on, and just brought everybody else with your blistering pace, brought everyone else to your strategy. Talk about that. Was that the plan from the get-go?
That was 100% the plan. I even tried to make it to 44. That's why I lost so much track position that first stint. And once my fuel gauge read, no, you can only go 38, maybe 39. That's when I was like, all right, drop the hammer. Let's go see what we can get. Because I know I can make it to 34, 35, which makes this a 3-stop race. And once I saw guys pit on the early end in the 20s, I'm like, oh, okay, top 5 is easily on the board. And man, if that caution didn't come out, there was a chance. I don't think Zach could have made it. He pitted like 2 or 3 laps before I did on the final stint, and I was flirting making it. So
yeah, that was a drama-filled last stint, especially with the caution that brought it out. With this finish, we haven't gotten the points all settled out, but you'll finish 4th or 5th in this in the final standing, which is a very impressive effort. We haven't really seen your name up here
with how bad
Great Lakes competition. Just how take us through the whole season mentality, man. What brought you into the conversation, and like it was awesome to see you run so well. You're not a name that we've had up here for like. Not a mainstay per se, but we're hoping that you continue to stick around and be more of a mainstay. Yeah. Talk about the whole season, man, and how it just came together.
Well, coming in when I got invited, like the tail end of last season, I just wanted to be a guy that everyone could know, okay, that's Mike. I can race around him cleanly. That was my whole goal. And coming into this season, I kept that mentality. I just wanted to be a guy that, like, Jackson, clear example tonight. He and I brawled, but it was like a clean brawl. We touched a few times here and there, but it was nothing dirty. Like, and I don't know, like, what more. I hope I proved that I was a guy that you could race hard, but it can be done cleanly.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we're looking for in this league, man. I can't say enough good things about you between the off strategy, proving that there is an off strategy in these. That's been a point of contention all season long, proving that there is an off strategy and that you can be fast doing it. You've been in contention just about all season long. It's been awesome. You got the first win there in Indy, and then throughout the entire playoffs being an up and down contender. It was awesome to see you do well when you did. I can't thank you enough for joining us and putting on such a show, man. It's been awesome to have you.
Well, this is just the beginning. We got another season in about a month, and I think it starts the first weekend in July. And there's more to come, more strategy to be played,
and we'll be looking forward to it. Elliot and myself will be back on track, and we'll be racing right alongside you. I'm sure you're definitely one of the ones we're most excited to race alongside of. So,
absolutely.
With the final question here, thanks so much for talking to us, Mike. For the last time this season, do you have anybody to thank for your awesome run tonight?
I want to thank you guys, as I always do. I cannot wait to rub some sheet metal with you guys next season. You guys are great in the booth, and I know you guys are going to be equally as great on the track. I want to thank everyone at the shop, everyone at TCR, always giving me great paint schemes with Trent making this Taco Bell, man. The Taco Bell truck is fantastic. A throwback to 2004 Dale Jr. Busch Series. That's my guy. This is probably my favorite truck I've run all season. Thank my parents who are watching. Always love putting on a great show for them. And just all the admins in this league. They're probably the best league I run in, hands down. It's not even close. Man, I want to start next season next week is how excited I am.
We're right alongside you, man. We can't wait to get going next season. It's been awesome to have you. Awesome to see you racing along with the best of them here in the Great Lakes Truck Series. Thanks so much for talking to us. We will absolutely be looking forward to the start of season 10 with you in a couple weeks' time.
Maybe a little bit more consistency out of me next season.
That's just about the only thing you could improve, but absolutely, we hope for that. Thank you so much for talking to us again, Mike. Your third place finish here tonight. Go enjoy your finish, Mike.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, coming home second tonight, the other guy on two tires, Will Bargelotti. Got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
So explain to us that two-tire call at the end and how that kind of happened, because it didn't seem like that was going to be the right move, and I questioned it, and then you still ended up with a second place finish. Were you kind of forced into that, or did you figure more people would do it?
I mean, I wasn't really sure. The idea just kind of popped into my head. Kind of went through it with a couple of guys on my team, and we decided to just go for it. Last race of the year. I didn't want to come out fourth, just run back there. I mean, it'd have been tough to pass, especially on restarts. So I kind of assumed everyone would take four, and I just get lucky, only went on two out front, and just see how it went. So, I mean, it definitely worked out a lot better than I was hoping it would. I feel like I definitely had a shot if I executed a little bit better, but yeah, it just popped into my head. Thought, why not go for it? Last race of the year, have some fun.
Well, you definitely drove Sims and those guys really hard, and it looked like for a second you may be able to get it done. Unfortunately, Durr got back around you at the end, but on a part-time schedule, really showed up and impressed a lot of us, and definitely made your presence known. You coming back full-time next season for season 10?
Yeah, so I do plan on coming back full-time, so that should be fun. Can't wait for that. Just glad to run a couple races at the end here, and then yeah, can't wait to go for it next season. Should be fun.
Well, Barb, it's always a pleasure. Glad to have gotten to interview you up in the booth tonight, and looking forward to what you do on track full-time next season. Anyone you want to thank for tonight's stellar run?
Yeah, I mean, definitely want to thank those guys for telling me to go for it on two, because it definitely worked. I mean, obviously I had a chance there, didn't totally execute, but that was fun. I mean, you guys for putting this on, admins, everyone that makes this league what it is.
Well, Barb, always a pleasure. Looking forward to talking to you next season as well, but go enjoy your night, and we'll catch you next time.
All right, thank you guys.
And next, we will have our winner here tonight in an absolute thrilling finish. I'm going to let my bias be shown. I've got my Dark Horse Motorsports shirt on. Matt Durr take us through that last lap, man. What was going through your mind as you lined back up and then just absolutely ripped it around him?
Honestly, I didn't really know what plan to come up with because I knew I think two of those guys took 2 tires, so I knew they'd be slow. So if I knew I could at least get third before we get to the white flag, I knew I would have a shot at winning. Um, and then I think Barr may have missed turn 2, almost wrecked Sims, which that was able for me to get 3 wide there. And going into 3, I just sent it and just hoped that it would stick because I didn't want Sims getting on my right side to get a run off of 4, and it stuck. And once I came off of 4, I realized I was clear and just took it easy going on the front stretch, not to spin out or anything. So that was probably the best restart of my life. That was fun.
Yeah, man, we're watching it back on the broadcast right now. It's absolutely insane there to just throw it in underneath both of Sims and Barbage. A lot of those two guys were probably just as hungry as you to get that win as you lead them. You out front and then 4 wide back there at the line, man. That's you can't. I've said it and I'll say it once again. You can't end a season better than that. Your first, correct me if I'm wrong, this is your first Truck Series win. I had to go back into the record books here, but first Truck Series win in the season finale?
Yes, it is. Couldn't read a better story than this. I get hurt, out, get surgery, out for races, come back and win a race, final race actually. So yeah, this is probably my best season that I've had, and I'm glad to get the win, at least a win this season.
Yeah, for real, one of your best seasons, and you were hurt for most of it. Shades of Kyle Busch back in 2015. Unfortunately, you didn't get the championship, but man, a heck of an effort from you to come back here and run well, get you a win in the season finale. It was awesome, man. Just so much action. This is absolutely an instant classic going in the GLTS record books. How are you looking forward to next season? We're looking ahead here. We've got season 10 right around the corner. Going to be starting up that first week in July. Looking to continue this momentum going into Daytona.
Yeah, I'm feeling really confident about next season. A lot of tracks that I feel like I'm really good at least get a top 10, top 5s there for most of the year, and never know, maybe be in contention for a championship. I don't know. I still got to get really consistent. I don't feel like I'm as consistent as I want to be, but there's a lot of good tracks that I feel like I'm really good at next season for it to help me be up there in the points and hopefully make the playoffs next season.
Definitely, man. You're going to have a lot of people to contend with for those playoff points or playoff spots, but I believe you can absolutely be one of them if you keep this momentum up going into season 10 here. So congratulations once again on your first GLTS win in absolutely dramatic fashion. Do you have anybody to thank for your awesome run here tonight?
Well, I wouldn't be here if it without my teammates. No, it's kind of what everybody says, but I was running like barely top 20, top 15 when I first started. And when I started joining teams, I started learning off of everyone, trying to get better. And then this season started, I've been consistently running inside the top 10. So everybody who I've raced with and been teammates with, they've all helped me try to be better. And it's kind of, my luck worked out in my favor too. So yeah, just got to thank all my teammates now and my former teammates as well.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you. It's been awesome. I know both me and Elliot have been your teammates throughout your GLTS career. So it's been awesome to see you progress. Finally get this win in the Truck Series is an amazing thing to watch. You're one of our cleanest and most respectful drivers out there, and you add so much to the league, and we appreciate it. Week in and week out, it's awesome to watch you race, to run alongside you next season. I'm already looking forward to it, man. So thanks for being a part of this league, and congratulations once again on your first win. I love saying that. I love watching people get their first win here. So thank you so much for talking to us, Matt. Good luck next season. We'll see you back on track, and go enjoy your win, buddy.
Yeah, thanks. You guys have a good night.
You too, man. And certainly, last but not least, for the final time this season, your Season 9 champion, Nathan Jump. It's Brittle and the boys up in the booth. I'm not even going to ask. Take us through, man. Well, first of all, congratulations on your championship. You join elite company in this league. How take us through the entire season? I mean, obviously, we talked about it earlier in the booth. One of the most dominant runs throughout an entire season that myself and Elliot have ever seen. Take us through the entire season, the mentality, what it's like to run against these guys week in and week out.
Man, the mentality is show up and think you can win every single race, bro. That's what I went every week, 1 through 17. I'm gonna show up thinking I can win, and if Zach beats me, Zach beats me. But that got us all the way to the end, a 25-11 championship, team championship. We did it, son. That's what happens when you're on the best team with some of the best drivers in the league. And damn, it feels pretty good.
Well, it sure looks like it feels good. Absolutely dominating performance between you, the entire team, all season long. It was really a fight between you and Zach Henry. Once the playoffs got going, Spencer Owens kind of dropped out of the picture there. Tonight, a little bit different a story here. Had some speed, but I talked about it in the broadcast. I wanted to pick your brain about the strategy. Did the fuel just kind of slip your mind? You and Tony Mons were just absolutely dogging it against each other, and everybody else switched strategies and left y'all out to dry. What was the mentality out there?
No, I took it personal. He came in, got pole. We never even seen this dude. Sure, he's fast, but I'm taking it personal. He got pole, and we're gonna drive away. So, you know what? I'm gonna try to race him, and I think we might have both got caught up in the pride thing of it. And yeah, I knew fuel was gonna be a thing, and I looked down and I said, hell, I ain't gonna make it. So I hit pit road, and I'm surprised he followed me. He could have just saved gas and probably pedaled it there to the end. But no, if he comes back next season, we're gonna be duking it out. I seen some things he was doing. I took some notes, but that's all I'm gonna tell y'all about that.
Well, I can't blame you there, man. Absolutely, the two of you put on a heck of a show in the first 3/4 of this event, man. And then take us through that final restart there. You were smack in the middle of it. What was it like watching everybody all duke it out and trying to keep it clean there? We saw Tony go off your nose, but I don't believe there was really anything you could do.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. He might have got loose on the outside. I don't know, but it was go time, and I knew it was probably going to get a little bit messy there, especially when you see Zach get a little sideways. Yeah, he's one of the best. So if he's getting sideways, we're all getting sideways. And hey, shout out to Matt Durr, man. He got the win, and we got 3 people up in here in the broadcast booth doing interviews. Gave me time to go chug a Budweiser, so that's pretty cool of them. Got a little sweat going, but I think that's his first truck win, right?
Yeah, it was. We were talking about that with him. That's his first truck win. All of his other GLR wins had come in the Winter Series. So first truck win for Matt Durr. It's awesome to see for him.
Well, I'll be damned. Hey, and I think we finished 5 wide at the end or something like that. I don't even know.
Yeah, man, I can't even hardly put it into words, but yeah, 5 wide there at the end. As you guys, the guys on the stream can see the final chase standings here. You are our undoubted champion in that one. But yeah, it's awesome to see you to see you run well all season. You're obviously one of our best drivers out there. We hope you to continue to add to the league and bring that attitude back that we love so much, and be an absolute contender next season too.
For sure, man. Hey, that's why we broadcast races right there for a finish like that. I think the top 9 was under half a second or something like that. That's why we broadcast, and we appreciate y'all. And hey, I'm gonna join up on Spectrum next season, so maybe me, Zach, Chris, maybe we're banging doors next season a little bit. Maybe we get a little rivalry going or something. Spice some things up here.
Well, yeah, that'll definitely be interesting to watch. See how you race your former teammates on that one. But can't wait to see you back out there on the track next season, and can't wait to race against you too. Either me and
yeah,
We'll be back out on the track duking it out with you. So I got to make sure you didn't forget who we were.
Oh man, well after 7 wins and who knows how many top fives, it's easy to get to your head. But man, I still got more to learn and definitely more speed to come. And man, I'm excited for next season. I'm going back to back. I gotta go back to back, right? You can't have confidence like this and not go back to back. So we gotta do it. Gonna be with Spectrum. We're gonna get them one. And hey, we'll see what happens. I appreciate y'all broadcasting. I'm gonna go drink another Budweiser. Hopefully, hey, y'all getting to bed on time pretty soon this time around compared to last night. So that's good for you old men right there. But hey, appreciate y'all. I'm out of here. And shout out EHG Designs. Go get you some paint schemes.
Congratulations, Nathan Jump, once again on his first GLTS championship. That'll just about wrap up our interviews. Elliot, closing thoughts on a wild race and a even wilder finish. I mean, season all the way through.
Well, I want to give him some props, but he ended up leaving before I could say anything. 7 wins, 13 top 10s. Actually, 13 top 10s, 12 top 5s. Super impressive season for Nathan Jump. Looking forward to seeing what he does next season. I believe we've got the running order up here to run through, but what else can you get from a race, man? I mean, he said it. There were 9 drivers under a half a second that I immediately pointed out, but that is just phenomenal stuff. That is not what we expected to see with about 10 laps to go, and it all just devolved, and that's what we got. So love it. Can't wait to see what we get next season. But phenomenal racing there at the end. Great way to sum up a championship season for Nathan Jump, and a great way to end the season.
Yeah, absolutely. We will. This is why we love Homestead so much. It's absolutely mainstay in the Great Lakes calendar. We'll be back at this track next season with all the action on Split Second Broadcasting. For us, though, we're going back out on track, and I don't know about you, but I can't wait to get back out there and race up against these guys. It's going to be an absolute barn burner is what next season's shaping up to be.
Yeah, very much looking forward to it at this point.
Let's take you through the unofficial results here as we run through one final time here in Homestead. Matt Durr comes home your winner, getting his first GLTS victory, leading only 1 lap, but it was the most important one here. Matt Durr brings it home in first place. Will Barbagelata brings it home second after a very nice return from him. Solid top 5 performance all night long. Mike McConville, we talked to him, you heard the energy. Another great top 3. If he had just had that final pit stop go his way, he would have absolutely been, I mean, you can't get much closer than they already did, but an absolute awesome run for Mike McConville. Jackson Sims, the heartbreak, brings it home in 4th after being in the best position with the best tires. Only to bring it home 4th. Absolute heartbreak for him. You got to feel for him. Lewis Woodall, an absolute season best, coming up there to finish in the 5th place position. You saw him on the inside there on that replay, 5 wide. Lewis Woodall, a very impressive run from him. Congrats to him. Chris Heller, you saw him running in the 4th position all night long. He drops back to 6th. In that mad scramble. Zach Henry, once again, you got to feel for him. Had the race in hand, and then a late race caution takes it away from him. Once again, I can't even count how many times that's happened to him over the course of Great Lakes history. So another disappointing finish for Zach, even though it's a nice solid top 7. Nathan Jump, your Season 9 GLTS championship, brings it home 8th after spending most of the race duking it out with Monge for that top spot. Got caught out in the pit strategy, fell back to 8th. Spencer Owens brings it home in 9th place after starting deep in the field back in 22nd. A solid top 10 from him. And then Nick Caressel starting in 9th, finishing out with another top 10, add another one to his resume. He has been a one that we've talked about week in and week out here in the top 10. It's awesome. Another awesome finish for him.
And rounding out 11th, Ross Brockman on that alternate strategy, tried to make it work, but at the end of the day, ended up with a little bit of damage in one of those late race skirmishes, ends up 11th. Michael Sensi, the one that was on the most bizarre strategy, the one starting the 4-stopper from the beginning, ends up 12th, and it worked out for him. He got that late race yellow, got back on the lead lap, and nearly got a top 10 out of it. Brent Kingcock, Gavin Fitzgerald, who were up front all night, end up 13th and 14th. Tony Monge, we documented his success tonight. Definitely one to look out for moving forward. A lot of pace out of that truck. Just came in for a fun run. and led a lot of laps, but definitely learned that you might need to evaluate fuel mileage going into the next one here. But runs out 15th after starting on pole and leading a bunch at the beginning. Eric Kepf is going to finish her night in 16th. Just a nice average finish for him. Started there, finished there. Robin Durr, we talked about, ran around the top 10, ends up 17th. I believe he was involved in one of the late race issues and didn't get to finish where he was running, but still a solid night for him. Definitely learned a lot to move forward with. Alex Fetter right there in 18th, James Shiflett 19th, and Evan Snyder comes off 20th.
In 21st, bringing it home is Adolfo Delgado after starting up in that third place position. We talked about how good of a starting spot it was. Unfortunately, it didn't last, and then you saw the contact, the spin, and the absolute horrific crash there on the front straightaway between him and Shane Neiswanger. He will bring it home with a 21st place finish. Rod Fosna scored 22nd. Believe Rod had some issues earlier on in the event, so that's why he brings it home in the 22nd position. Shane Neiswanger, we just talked about him getting unfortunately caught up in the Adolfo Delgado wreck, will be scored in the 23rd position to bring it home in the final race of the season. Preston Henry will bring it home 24th. Jared Darling, unfortunately, I believe he had to dip out or something. He will be scored in the 25th position. Dylan Poteet didn't get the chance to run a lap. He was set to make his GLTS debut, but unfortunately had to run to tend with other matters. So we look forward to seeing him next season and running with us then. And then Michael Barbagelata brings it home in the 27th position to wrap it up.